వీడియో ఏం లేదా? Hi guys, a very good afternoon to all of you. Today we're going to talk about one of the exams which is very well known to students. It's an entrance exam to one of the top colleges for MBA in the country. This happens to be the SNAP exam, which gives you entry into the entire gamut of the Symbiosis University or colleges that come under the Symbiosis name. So we're going to look at the next 100 days. What do you need to do? Because the Symbiosis notification is already out. The exam is going to be happening in the month of December. So that's barely about, this is September already. So we have September, October, November, December, in which we already have CAT exam coming in the month of November. We have NMAT starting from around October. So there are a lot of things. And then of course there will be IIFT in December again. So we have a ton of exams coming our way. So what should you do specifically for SNAP? What kind of scores are required? What kind of percentiles are required to get into what colleges? So we're going to look at all of these things today. So let's go ahead and look at this exam called SNAP. Okay, so the first thing we need to talk about before getting into the exam itself is the admission process for Symbiosis colleges is a little bit different. It's a bit, it's not tricky, but it's a bit different from regular pattern. So while you'll be, really needing this post your SNAP exam, I thought I'll just put a slide, give you some idea that this is not your, typically not your PI and WAT. There are one extra step involved also. So what are these steps? The entry process obviously considers your SNAP exam score, which has a weightage of 50%. Okay, so in your interview, in your final selection, your SNAP exam has a 50% weightage. There's a 10% weightage for an event called group exercise. This is a quite interesting thing. Group exercise. Now, what is this group exercise? Group exercise is not a GD. It is not a group discussion. Okay, it is an exercise, which means it's an event where about 7 to 8 people will come together and basically participate in this. It could be anything. So I'll mention 1 or 2 examples to help you understand what these events are. One event was actually where they said, okay, you discuss among yourselves about a topic. That is a very common GD, but that's very, very rare. One event, which is an interesting event, which happened as a group event, was students were first made to solve puzzles individually, and then they were brought together as a group collectively, and they were given puzzles collectively. So it's a complete 30 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes exercise where they will test your individual ability as well as a group participation. As a group, how do you function? As a part of the group, how do you behave? So they're going to look at all of this. One other interesting group exercise that happened in this process few years back was they took everybody out into a lawn and they blindfolded everyone, and they made all of them hold a rope, which is a long rope. There were about 8-9 of them, and they were given the task of forming alphabets. Obviously they can't see where everybody's starting, so you just have to, as a team, work saying that, okay, if I have to form a letter S, so starting from the top, how do you have to write this S without seeing who is standing where? You have to allocate, so you need to understand who is left, who is right, who is first. So first you have to figure out, okay, number 1, number 2, number 3, and so on and so forth. And everybody knows how to write S, but if you are blindfolded, how will you form that S? So it's very interesting. So that's what happens in your group exercise. That's about 10% weightage. Then of course the interview has a very high weightage there. That's about 30% weightage, and the final WAT, which is written ability test, is basically about 10% weightage, adding up to a total of 100%. So this is a process which will happen once you get a call from your Symbiosis, once you write your SNAP and get an interview call. Okay, so let's take a look at the important dates as far as the exam is concerned. The first date already is over. The registrations have started in the last month itself. It's now almost a month since the registrations have started. They will close on 24th of November. So the last date for registration is 24th of November. Make sure that you don't wait till the last moment, that you fill in this form as soon as possible. The admit cards, there are two dates. The first date is 5th December and the second date is 10th December. Now why are there two dates? Because the exam is being conducted in 3 slots. You can write in all the 3 slots. So Snap is very unique that way. You can write it multiple times. You can write maximum 3 times. So if you're writing in the slot 1, your admit card will be out by 5th December. If you're writing it in slot 2 or slot 3, you'll be getting a different admit card on 10th December for both the slots, slot 2 and slot 3. If you're writing in all the 3 slots, it means you'll be getting 1 on 5th December, you'll be getting 2 more on 10th December. So that's basically how it works. And you are allowed to write this a maximum of 3 times. The test dates, first date is 10th December. As I said, there are 3 times that the exam is going to be conducted. The first exam slot is on 10th December. It's between 2 to 3 p.m. The second is on 18th December. Again, the timing is the same, 2 to 3 p.m. And the third is 23rd December, 2 to 3 p.m. So all these are in the afternoons, 2 to 3 p.m. The dates are 10th, 18th and 23rd. Slot 1, slot 2 and slot 3. The result is expected to be announced on 10th of January. So, December, January, because there is a slot on 23rd December also. So, it's not taking too much of time. That's about 17-18 days, which is quite normal. One of the things that you need to keep in mind is there is no normalization. So, this exam does not normalize your score, which means whatever score you get, that will stand. Unlike CAT, which follows the process of normalization. So there is a raw score, there is a normalized score or scaled score they call it. That process does not apply here because CAT gives you 3 different papers and then it says based on the question, based on the marks, we will normalize your scores. Whereas Snap does something slightly differently. What they do is they create a pool of questions and they employ some process which is very, they didn't disclose what process they follow, but they are basically mentioning on the website that they follow a process which will ensure that the 3 papers which are going to be conducted on these 3 days are almost exactly same with respect to difficulty level. The questions will of course be different, but they are saying that if you look at the overall difficulty level of these 3 papers, it will not change. Not just the overall level, they are saying that to the extent that section wise difficulty level, topic wise difficulty level is also maintained. Hence, because we are doing that already for the 3 exams, we will not entertain normalization ever again. So that's what happens. And yes, Tiksha is saying best of 3. Yes, Tiksha, you can write up to 3 times. The best score of the 3 will be selected. Okay, it's the best of 3. Many of you might think the first will be considered or the last. No, it's not like that. It's simple. Whichever is the highest score, that will be taken. Right? That's how it is. These are the important dates for you to keep in mind. Now, let's take a look at the exam per se. So, Snap, the top colleges which consider the score are SIBM Pune, of course, goes without saying, happens to be in the top 15 in the country. Then, in this Snap exam, the second best college is SEMHRD. And then there is SIIB, SIOM, then we have SITDTM, and we have a list of colleges I'm not mentioning. There are about 15 colleges of Symbiosis group which give you access to their, or rather take admissions through this particular exam. I mentioned only the top 3-4 colleges right now, but the exam pattern is somewhat like this. It has 3 sections. 3 sections. One is called General English, which has 15 questions. Second is Analytical and Logical Reasoning. I'll explain what this section is, which will have 25 questions. And the third is Quant plus Data Interpretation, which will have 20 questions. So you have a total of 60 questions coming to you, spread into or spread across 3 sections, 15, 25 and 20. Now, the questions will have 4 options each. Each question will have 4 options, as I mentioned over here. There is no sectional time limit, so you will have a total of 60 minutes. So this is one of the shortest exams possible. This is one of the shortest exams that is out there. 1 hour and the exam is done, right? And there is no time limit. In 60 you can spend any time anywhere, and the beauty is the cutoffs also do not depend on any sectional requirement. So you need to get a overall cutoff or overall score. There is no sectional checking. So technically speaking, if I can leave general English perfectly out, and if I can do this perfectly and get 45 out of 45, which means I'm getting 45 out of 60, I'll be one of the toppers. You'll see the scores. At 45 marks, you'll be at a 98 percentile or 99 percentile. Or something around that range. So technically I can do that. So you can leave a complete section and still be a topper, provided you get everything else correct in the remaining. But yeah, realistically speaking, it's difficult to do that. But yeah, it is possible because there is no sectional requirement. Okay. Tiksha is saying more weightage topics, more important topics. Yes, Tiksha, it is there. I'm going to talk about the syllabus next. We will see what happened in the last 1 or 2 years. You'll get to know what can be expected, and therefore what are the good topics to prepare. The marking scheme is +1 mark if you get it right, and -1/4 if you get it wrong. It's a very straightforward 1 mark and -1/4. It can be written thrice, and best of the 3 scores will be considered. That is something that I've already mentioned, and it's a short exam. Now let's take a look at the section wise what happened in the last 1 or 2 years. This is approximately what happened last year, and this trend will continue this year too. Now general English has been traditionally easy to moderate, definitely not difficult at all. This has been a scoring area for a lot of students. Time saving and scoring. So typically the 15 questions can be completed in about 5 to 7 minutes. So you will basically look at the remaining 53 to 55 minutes you will be spending on 45 questions. So this is what all good students do. They finish off the English in about 5 minutes if they are really good, in probably 7 minutes if you are a little bit, or if you are just about average or above average. If you are slow, you might end up taking 10 minutes also, but 10 minutes should not be taken for this kind of a paper. Now what happens in this? You have a short RC. There are 2 RCs, very short RCs, small passage or a poem actually. In fact, last year there were 1 or 2 poems that were given, and the questions, there were 1 questions on each poem. So it's very straightforward. In fact, actually 1 poem, if I remember, was a bit tricky, but you might decide to solve it or not depending upon the difficulty level. But otherwise, there are not too many RCs. So the importance to reading comprehension is not much. They have not asked that much about RC. But you have fill in the blanks. There are 3, so you have to select the right word to fill the blank with. So that kind of questions, there were 3. Idioms is something that they focus a lot on, and truly speaking, if you take the list of idioms, there will be about 250-300 idioms that you can by heart to get 3 questions out of it. So it is worth it. If you have to by heart 250 to 300 well-known idioms, it makes sense to do that, so that you know you get the 3 marks in English. So that's one thing which I would definitely recommend, that you go ahead and practice. Then if you look at grammar, so you have nouns, you have active passive, you have adjective verb, and you have tenses. So basically you had 1, then you had 1, 1 and 1. So you had 4 questions coming to you from grammar. So it is, and of course error detection again, 2 more questions. So actually 6 questions coming to you from grammar. So grammar is something which is important. So if you were to ask me, should I spend time on RC or grammar with respect to SNAP, I would say in SNAP, grammar is more important than your RC. Whereas if you're preparing for CAT or ZAT kind of an exam, I would definitely say in CAT, throughout grammar is not required. In ZAT, grammar will come, but RC is still very important for ZAT. But when it comes to SNAP, it is exactly reverse. RC, you can choose to leave out the 2 questions if needed, but grammar cannot be done away with. And there is a lot of grammar coming your way. That's 6 out of 15 questions, not a small number. Then of course we have compound words, questions based on compound words and the meaning of it. So in fact FIB mostly is on synonyms and antonyms. So fill in the blanks are based on synonyms and antonyms. So you need to first identify what, given the context of the fill in the blank, what word can be put there. So sometimes the question would be like, okay, which of the following can be coming in the place of this blank? And the question can also be, which of the following is the antonym of a word that can be coming into the blank? So it's again, you can put synonyms or antonyms both in this fill in the blanks, and that's how the questions were. So please make sure that your vocab and grammar is you're focusing on your vocab and grammar, especially if you're focusing on Snap. You can leave RC or give RC a lesser amount of importance. Okay, I have got a couple of questions. Shivam, the sources from where we can prepare, Shivam, I would say if you have a word power made easy, but again, it'll take time. But if you're spending around 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours per day, you can do that. That's the best source for vocab, word power made easy. I mean, and as far as grammar is concerned, we at BYJU'S Exam Prep have given a lot of free sessions, and we also have a lot of free videos on our app, so you can download it and take a look at them. Tiksha also says, sir, I have a doubt. So many institutes provide idioms and phrases like up to 300, but how to decide this much is good enough? Tiksha, it's like saying, how many words are good enough? There is no limit. English word dictionary has thousands and thousands and thousands of words, probably lakhs of words. Now, if I ask you how many words are good enough, typically a average person will have about 7,000 to 8,000 words in their mind about of English. Good word. I'm not talking about the basic the and kind of words, but yeah, good words will be about 6 to 7,000 if they are decent in English. I mean, people who are really good, like Shashi Tharoor, Mr. Shashi Tharoor will probably have 15,000 words or 12,000 words in their mind. Probably, I don't know what the gentleman really has because he comes up with all kinds of words. But yeah, traditionally we'll have around 6-7,000 words. That's good enough. Now, how do we say this is good enough? That's the question that you're asking. It is purely based on experience, because there is the idioms and phrases. You can't sit and learn everything. Right? So usually when you're looking at, so you mentioned about institute. So when you look at any of these set of words, if there is institute 1 which has given you 300, if there's an institute 2 which has given you 300, institute 3 which has given you 300, you'll notice that among these 3 institutes that has given the 300, almost 220 to 250 will be common. Because the faculty members usually with their experience think alike. So they know what are the important words. But again, because each human being is different from the other, I will not say all 300 will be same. There could be about 40-50 differences. But the bulk of it, or you can almost say about 80% of the 300 will be common across the board. Those are the ones which are good enough for you. I'm not saying that you have to go and read all the 3 different or 4 different or 5 different institutes that you're following. What I'm trying to say is you pick 1 or 2 set of words and stick to them, or set of idioms and stick to them. That is good enough. Don't keep your head thinking about, okay, what if I missed? There are too many what ifs that can happen. So don't worry about things that are beyond your control. Give it your best shot with a reasonable amount of effort. That is good enough, right? Yes, Tiksha, that's what I've said. So that's what I mentioned about idioms and phrases. Okay, so don't worry about it. 3 to 350 is good enough, as in my opinion. If you have covered that, then I can guarantee that you'll get 2 out of 3 in the exam. And based on the context, you can probably make a third one also. Idioms and phrases, remember, they will not randomly give you a word and say what is the meaning of this. They will use it in a sentence so that you will also know the context. Okay, so the idiom or the phrase will be a part of the sentence. So if you know it beforehand, it's good. Otherwise, if your English is good, you can also make some sense out of it using the context given there. Okay. All right. Let's move on. What happens in your logic? There is a second section. As I mentioned, there are totally 25. It's broken up into analytical reasoning 17 and verbal reasoning 8. Okay. Analytical and logical reasoning is actually broken up into analytical reasoning and verbal reasoning. Now, what is analytical reasoning and what is verbal reasoning? Verbal reasoning is where you use logic, but you use English as a tool to test that logic. What are these kind of questions which allow you to do that? So you have something called as statement and assumption. I'm sure you guys know about this. So statement and assumption type of questions come under verbal logic or verbal reasoning. So you are actually applying logic there, but not to solve a puzzle per se. It is logic used with the tool called English, English words. Similarly, you have a course and action kind of questions. Again, last year there were 2 questions coming from this, and that has been the trend. You can assume the same thing will happen this year too. Verbal analogy. So if there will be 2 words, A word is to B word, and they will say C word is to what word. So there is some way in which these 2 are connected. You have to figure out the same connection between C and D, and the D has to be picked up from the options that have been given to you. Okay, which means you should know the meaning of these 2 words first. Right, so are they synonyms, are they antonyms, or do they belong to some same class of things or family, something like that. Then we have cause and effect. Okay, and then we have logical sequence. So these are the kind of questions that come under verbal reasoning. So verbal reasoning is not exactly English. English is a tool that is used to test your logic. That is called as verbal reasoning. And of course, analytical reasoning and or logical reasoning, whichever way you call it, basically comes under. So what happened last year was you had linear series, or number series and alphabet series. They were totally about 5. So series is quite important for you. Please keep that in mind. Linear arrangements were about 2. So you have traditional arrangements. Ram is sitting to the left of Sham. Sham is sitting to the right of Hari, and so on and so forth. Something like that. So linear arrangements, there were 2 questions. Number series and alphabet series, very, very important for you because there were 5 questions, not a small number. Binary logic, there were 2 questions. Blood relations, questions based on blood relations, there were 2. Coding, decoding was 1, and another very, very important topic for you is clocks and calendars. So there were 5 questions from clocks and calendars. It's a very important topic as far as your logical ability is concerned. Okay, I have one more question coming from Tiksha. I've completed whole grammar, but problem is that I can't recall rules at the time of mocks. What to do for that? Tiksha, see, grammar, my friend, if you're reading it on the rule based, then you have to, the entire form of English grammar you don't need to learn. The exams test only few areas. For example, if you look at here, they are looking at active, passive, adjectives, so basically parts of speech, and you're looking at tenses and active and passive voice. Can you first perfect these? That's all. Don't worry about too many other things. Just look at parts of speech. In parts of speech also, please focus on the nouns and pronouns, probably focus on adjectives and adverbs, and then you talk about tenses, and then probably you can talk about active and passive voice. Take one step at a time. So these, if I say these are the most important, first finish them, then you talk about the other things. So don't waste your time by hearting rules for everything. If you have perfected these 3-4 things, then you move on to the next thing. So probably then you can include articles, and the. What are the logic behind using them, or where can it be used? What are the exceptions there? So then again a set of rules will come there. So take one step at a time. Don't worry about saying I'll finish everything. Go in the decreasing order of your importance. Start with the most important, then the next most, and whatever you cannot remember, that's okay, which means the lower parts which are not very important will be left out by you. That's okay. But you should understand what are the most important things for you to read or by heart. So the problem is, if you give same importance to everything, then you're trying to stuff your mind with too many things. Okay? I hope that answers your question, Tiksha. Right. Then moving on to snaps, QA and DI. So here once again we had number series. So if you notice, there were series questions in the LR section also, and there are series questions in your maths section also. That's a very, very important topic if you ask me, and that's something that should not be left. Then of course algebra, 2 questions, but again a very important topic is number and arithmetic. So number theory based on HCM, LCF, factors, factorials, all those kind of questions, and arithmetic, basic percentages, profit and loss. So all that questions that come under it. These are the important things. And if you notice, geometry and mensuration together is about 3, probability is 1, and hardly any DI calculation based question. So again, what are the most important topics for you here? This you don't have to prepare under quant, because you're anyway going to be covering it under your second section, which is your analytical reasoning and verbal reasoning. So that you will anyway do. So you don't have to put it as a part of your quant, but they have asked it in quant. But algebra and number theory, especially numbers, then arithmetic. These will give you 5 plus 5. So 50% of your paper comes from arithmetic and numbers together. Out of 20 questions, 50% is coming from here itself. Then the next most important topic would probably be geometry mensuration, because that's about 3 questions to 4 questions you can expect. Then if time permits, you go to algebra. So you can leave algebra for a later part of the time. But again, the problem here is if you're preparing for CAT and SNAP, then arithmetic is important for CAT, arithmetic is also important for SNAP. However, the second important topic in your CAT happens to be algebra, whereas here it is the other way around. Here you're putting numbers as the second most important topic. So you have to look at what exam are you seriously preparing for and accordingly give your preparation time to those topics. Okay. Tiksha says number series is very confusing. It seems easy, but really not easy. Tiksha, again, SNAP number theory is different from CAT number theory. When I say different, the level of difficulty. SNAP will not ask you more than moderate level questions. CAT can end up asking you difficult questions in numbers also. Right? So keep that in mind. SNAP questions are not really difficult. And the point about SNAP is you are not supposed to sit with a question. Whatever cannot be done in 45 seconds, you will leave and move on. SNAP is an exam of time constraint. You have to reach the end of the paper, and probably if 5 minutes are left out, you will go back and solve 2-3 questions which you could have done but you left it. So the whole idea in SNAP is finish each question or move to the next question if you cannot solve in 45 seconds to 1 minute, maximum time 1 minute. If you can't do it, leave it, move on to the next question. So reach the end of the paper, whatever time is left out, decide which questions you can pick, because you have read through all the questions, you have attempted some questions and left some, so you will know which questions can be done even if they are lengthy. So you can pick some questions in the last few minutes left out. Right? But in the first, this thing, don't sit with 2.5 minutes per question. You are supposed to reach the end of the paper before the exam ends, so that you can get few minutes left to do at least 2-3 questions that you skipped. Diksha, why SNAP doesn't provide previous year questions like last 2 years? I'm not really sure, Diksha, why they don't do it. They could have their own reasons. But yeah, I don't want to comment on why they don't do it. But I will definitely comment that it's a good habit to give out the previous year's papers. It's good for the students. They will know what can be expected, what level of difficulty can be expected as far as an exam is concerned. Especially all the international level exams do that. GRE does that, GMAT does it. They will not give out yearly paper. There's nothing called yearly paper, but yes, they give out the questions that have been discarded by them. So for GRE and GMAT, as a practice, they keep changing the questions over a period of time, right? So whatever questions have been discarded, they will make it public to the students as a part of their material. So if you purchase a material, all the questions there are actually questions which were asked few years back. So you will know what type of questions, what level of difficulty of questions could be asked for you. Okay. Rehan, DI set is only one question is what happened last year, not many. 1 or 2 you can expect, not more than that. You'll see, guys, there are 20 questions. You can't expect a set of 5 questions coming there, because from the examiner point of view, you need to understand that he's asking you 25% of your quant. If you don't know how to solve that set, it is gone. That's bad, because it's an exam where every mark counts. It's a easy to moderate level exam, only 1 hour, so they will not give you too many set based questions. That is the logic why RC is also not asked much, because they know that if the RC happens to be difficult for you and I ask you 4 questions, all 4 are gone for you. So they are trying to make a paper where, and again, if you notice, they are saying there is no normalization, which means slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, all of them, whatever marks you get, that mark will become final. If that is the case, then I cannot ask a technology based RC here and another different kind of an RC in the other slot, because somebody might like technology and therefore get those 4 questions out of it, and somebody might like philosophy or not like philosophy and therefore lose out marks on the second slot. So that's the reason why one question or one information based 4-5 questions, that kind of things are not happening much. Mostly the questions in SNAP are individual in nature. Right? Individual in nature. Tiksha, always attempt the section that you like. That's my philosophy. Again, different people say different things. There are two, okay, let me give you a realistic answer. There are typically two ways in which you can attempt. One is like first, hate later. And the other thing is hate first, like later. Now, what are these two approaches? As the name indicates, starting with the section that you like and moving on to the next liking and then the worst section for you, and the opposite. Now, why are these two approaches? Why do we need to do these two? So people like me, we love to finish off things that we like as fast as possible. Our speed will be good. Also, because we are fresh in, and anyway, it's a 1 hour exam, so I don't have to talk about fatigue. It's a 1 hour exam, so you can't say I'm going to getting tired in 1 hour, because you have other exams like ZAT coming your way where you'll be sitting for 3 hours. Anyway, so in that 60 minutes, I will start with what I like the best, because it will give me confidence, because I know if I'm starting with things that I like, I'll mostly be solving them. I'll get my answers. The more answers I get, the better I am, or the better I'll feel. Therefore, even the sections that I'm weak at, I'll go there with my confidence and I'll do good. The other approach, some people, in fact some of my colleagues have this, so it's like starting with what they hate. It's like, you have a plate full of things to eat. Let's say you don't like 1 or 2 sabzis or 1 or 2 curries. So, but it's mandatory that you eat everything. So they are like, okay, let me finish it off. One headache will be gone. Let me finish off these bad things so that then I can relish the good things. So that's their approach. So their mind will like, let me finish it off very well, because they know their good things are going to come next. They'll be in a hurry to finish this off, saving time. So they don't want to waste time on the things that they don't like. So they'll very, very quickly finish it off and therefore keep the maximum time for what they like. So that again depends on what type of a person you are. Try out both in your mocks, see which one works. Another thing which people also do is they start with English, which is nothing to do with whether you like it or not. They'll start with English, because if you finish English, 15 questions in let's say 5 minutes or 7 minutes, it gives you a huge boost of confidence, because 45 questions are left for you and you have more than 50 minutes left. So it's now you'll suddenly feel that, okay, instead of 1 minute per question, now you have more than 1 minute per question. So you'll have a little bit of relaxation in your mind. You'll not be that tense. Again, there are 2-3 approaches. You can decide which one works for you, provided you apply them in your mocks. If you're not writing mocks, then you'll just go randomly and do something in your exam. Okay. Pranit Wag. What is wrong, Pranit? I didn't understand. All right, okay. Let's move on. Okay, so here are the cutoffs, guys. So we have SIBM Pune. You need to get a 98 to 98.5 percentile cutoff. SEMHRD last year was 97.13 percentile. SIIB Pune is 93.2. SIBM Bangalore was about 90 percentile. SIOM was at 87. SIDTM was about 83 and SICSR was about 82. I have picked only those colleges which had a percentile requirement of 80 and above. I did not pick, so there are totally about 15-16 colleges. I am not writing everything. I have provided only those percentiles for colleges which required a percentile of 80 and above. Okay. So we will come to this slide. So let's take a look at score versus percentile. So if you want to get a 99 percentile to confirm to get a confirmed call for interview from your SIBM Pune, which happens to be the best institute in this SNAP exam, or among the colleges that are accepting SNAP exam, then a 43 to 44, so that's around 44, is a very, very safe score. Okay, in a paper like last year, a 44 mark score would be a confirmed call for you. Okay, 40 will give you a 97, which, or probably about 40.25, somewhere around this would be your SCMHRD requirement. So you can see there's a good 3 marks difference. There's a good 3 marks, in fact 3.5 and more difference between your SCMHRD requirement and your SIBM Pune requirement. Then if you come down a little bit lower, you'll be having at 39.75, you'll be getting a 96 percentile. At about 35.75, you'll be getting a 90 percentile. And this is how you look at the first side is your score and this is your percentile. So you can note it down if you want, if it gives you some kind of an idea about what number of questions you need to get correct. Okay. Let's move on. So we had a 80 percentile at 32 marks and 70 percentile at about 29.75. Diksha, this is the marks with percentile, my friend. This is the marks versus percentile. The first left side is the score, marks, right side is the percentile. Okay. So guys, before I move on, I want you guys to give me a like for this video if you really enjoyed or you got the information about what subjects to prepare, what should you do, what are the most important English parts, logic parts, quant parts. We are going to come up with a ton of such videos both on YouTube channel of ours as well as our app. So if you have not downloaded our app by now, please download it. Keep it ready. You'll be getting the notifications. If you have not subscribed onto our channel, please subscribe and click on the notification button so that any free session we are going to put up, you will get the notification. We have 3 to 4 sessions every week happening, weekdays, weekends. So we give you a ton of content free of cost. We are also having a channel on Instagram. Follow us on Instagram. We give out material every day there. So we give out few questions, we give out information, we give out reminders about form filling, last dates, everything is happening there. So please do follow us on our Instagram channel too. Okay, so the top colleges and their fees and the average packages is somewhere over here. SIBM Pune 18.5 lakhs approximately is the cost, whereas the average package is very nice. It's about 23 lakhs. SEMHRD is about 15.5 lakhs, and the average package is again a very healthy 20 plus lakhs. Once these two colleges are gone, then you will see that the average versus the fees will start matching more or less. Here it's way ahead. Even here it's decent. I would still say about 3 lakhs higher, but after that, after your SIIB Pune, your fee will actually be matching your average package, or it actually be your average will be slightly lesser than your fee. So you can see that SIBM Bangalore is a very high fee, but obviously because it is Bangalore, it is high, but the average is about 11.5 lakhs. Similarly, SIOM is about same, it's matching. SIDTM is more or less matching, or it's slightly lesser. Again, SICR is more or less matching. So of course, these three are the really good institutes when you look at ROI, and of course the top two are very well known in the industry too. I'm not saying the others are not, but yeah, SABM and SEMHRD happen to be two of the best known institutes to almost all CAT aspirants. Priyanshu, profile does not matter much right now. To get an interview call, it is only your snap percentile that matters. But yes, once you go to the interview, that is where your profile. Again, profile is all about interview. Unlike your CAT, where you get a weightage for your 10th score, 12th score, in snap it does not work like that. I already told you, I gave you the beginning itself. Yeah, so weightage. So snap, GE, that is group interview, personal interview, and WAT. So here all the profile based will come under your interview. They will ask you, so they will not give you direct marks for your 10th or 12th, but they will see what kind of a person you are. Do these marks do justice? So have you actually learned, or are you a bookish person who only by hearts and does not apply it? So if you're saying that you are good in some subject, they might actually ask you about the subject. So that is how they test it, but otherwise they don't have a direct profile based marks. Okay, right. So that's where we bring, this is what we have come to the end of the session, my friends. So this is what I wanted to discuss today with you. I had few questions prepared just in case we will not fall, or rather we will fall short of time. So I can probably do 2 or 3 questions. Are you guys ready for 2 or 3 questions to be solved? Quick response. You have your pens and papers ready? Do you want me to give you 2 or 3 questions right now? All right. So let's go ahead and take the first question coming your way. This is actually one of the snap questions that have come from the last papers based on memory. Try to solve this. 45 seconds is your time. Alright guys, so that's about 45 seconds. So let's take a look at how do we go about answering this question. See, 8 years ago their total was 56. So minus 8 years, their total was 56. So today, each person from here to here, if you're coming, each person will get plus 8 years. So if their age was total 56 years 8 years back, today it should be 56 plus 24. Why 24? Because 8 years will be added for all three people. So their total today should be 80 years. Their total should be 80 years. So now look at their ratio. Okay, so find their present ages. So the total should add up to 80. But the problem is there is none of these. So you can't just go by the options. So make sure that you divide 80 in the ratio 7, 4 and 9. So 80 divided by, what is the total? 7 plus 9 is 16 plus 4, 20. 20 into 4. So you got 16. So one person should be 16, which is over here. Make sure that the other two are also correct. So 80 by 20 into 7, which is 7 4s are 28, and 80 by 20 into 9, 9 4s are 36. So clearly that is your option B. So this is the question, this is how they give it to you. If you don't get the crux of it, you will take more time. Okay, so this is the best way. So you just take a look at, okay, last 8 years back they were some age, so today it should be that same age plus 24, because everybody will be increasing by 8 years. So total will also increase by 24 years. Okay. Next question is it's a simple question on 4-letter words out of logarithms. Try it out. It's a simple PNC question. Let's see how many of you get it right. 45 seconds. Your time starts now. Okay, so that's about 45 seconds done. Once again, this is a direct question. You can see that no alphabet is repeated. All alphabets are unique. And totally there are 10 alphabets. So you want to arrange 4 letters out of these 10. So it's a direct question of 10p4, which is 10 factorial by 6 factorial. This should be 10 into 9 into 8 into 7. So this is how much? 8 9s are 72 into 7, 7 2s are 14, 7 7s are 49, 50. So 5040, it's option C. It is like 15-20 seconds question this is, but you need to know the concept of PNC. If you get it, you'll get your answer. Let's take a look at one more quant question. Let me take, yeah, look at this. This is actually calendars based question. Again, there's a simple concept. If you know it, you'll get the answer in seconds. Let's see if you can do this in 30 seconds. It's a very, there's hardly any calculation here. Your time starts now, 30 seconds. By the way, I hope you notice this is grammatically incorrect. Saturday does not fall anywhere. It's not walking for it to fall or running for it to fall. That's fine. So 2006 December, you're moving 8th December to 8th December 2007. So from 1 year to the next year, if you're crossing and there is no February 29th, which means there's no leap year in between, then there is only one odd day. One odd day means if today a particular date is a day of a week, then the next year same date will be that day plus 1. So if today is a Tuesday, that is 2022, today is what? 2nd September 2022 is a Friday. Next year, the same date, that is 2nd September 2023, will guaranteed be a Saturday, because from today to the next year there is no leap year. So If there are 365 days, then the week of the day will increase by 1 because there is only one odd day. So it is given that this is a Saturday, which means something plus 1 should be a Saturday, so this should have been Friday. So the answer is option D. Last two questions. Yes, this is a simple question. This is analogy or questions based on English and logic. Without knowing English, you can't get the logic here. And if you get the English but no logic, then also you can't solve. So this is a verbal logic kind of a question. Give me an answer to this. 30 seconds. Okay, so that's about 30 seconds. Anything more than this for this kind of a question means you are wasting your time. So either you know the meaning of these words or you don't. If you know the meaning, you should have got the answer in about 30 seconds. In fact, you'll get it in probably 15-20 seconds also. If you don't know the meaning of the word, you're not supposed to get stuck on this. You're supposed to leave it and move on. So parsley, basil and dill, these are all plant based. So these are all garnishes that you use in your cooking. They are plant based, right? And these are actually the leaves of plants. Mayonnaise is actually a sauce, or I don't know what you call it, a paste which is made. It is manufactured. It is not naturally found. These three are naturally found and they are used in that form. You probably use it for cooking, but they are used directly. Whereas this is processed. It is again made from things which are available in nature, but it is processed and it does not come as mayonnaise directly on trees. So that is your answer, option D. It's an odd one out. Similarly, take another look at this. This, I'm sure you guys should get it. 20 seconds. Give me the answer. Swagat, Rehan, Tiksha. Come on, guys. Very good. The correct answer here is ounce. What is an ounce? Ounce is a measure of weight. Whereas inch, centimeter and yard, these are measures of length, units of length, right? So A, C and D measure length, whereas B, ounce, measures weight. That is the difference. So again, it's an odd one out. So that's the answer for you. Right? So that's how the questions are. We have a lot of other questions too, but I will end the session for now. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this particular session and you got knowledge about what SNAP exam is all about, what scores are needed to get into what kind of colleges. If you are interested in taking up the last 3 months very seriously in your CAT preparation, we have launched a CAT crash course. We have also launched a CAT test series where all our mock CATs are going to be at the level of CAT. I personally ensured that these mocks are tested out twice or thrice before they go, so they are going to be error free and exactly at the level of your CAT. So if you're interested in our test series, please do call the number which is mentioned on the screen and either join a crash course or our test series. Thank you guys. See you in the next one.